in the routine of your daily life. Because see, what happens is, and I found this to be true in my situation, and maybe some of you can relate to this, you got to repeat so many tasks day after day. You know, it just gets monotonous. You go to work at the same time. You drive the same route. You got the same task at your job. You work around the same people. You sit at the same cubicle or the same station. You work in the same route. You know, you drive the same way to work. It takes the same amount of time. You listen to the same music. This monotony can oftentimes dull your thinking. And when you get monotonous in your thinking, it dulls it, and then your mind slips into neutral. So you know what I mean? When your mind isn't stimulated, when your mind slips into neutral because the monotony, you can do it with your eyes sleep. You don't need to even think about it. You know your way to work. You know the way home. You ever notice you be driving, all of a sudden you just know that this is your exit, and it's just monotonous. Your mind can slip into neutral. Well, when your mind is in neutral, it becomes unfocused, and then it's vulnerable to the world. It's vulnerable to the devil. You remember old people used to say the idle mind is a devil's playground? This is what it's talking about. And when your day-to-day tasks become monotonous, your mind can slip into neutral, and all of a sudden, an idle mind is the devil's playground. And then that just pulls your thoughts downward. And as your thinking process starts to deteriorate because of this monotony, it's become so mundane, you become confused about a lot of stuff, and you feel like you ain't got no direction. But the best way, the best remedy to refocus your mind is that relationship with God. You need God, man. You really do. And I ain't talking like I've had him my whole life, even though he's been around me. Now, my mama raised me in the church. I slid off. I was doing my thing. But man, in the total realization of it, on the real, just on the low, you need God, man. You really do. He offers you guidance and companionship. And it can clear up a lot of stuff for you, man. And look, I ain't trying to tell you, man, that you got to become Bible thumping or have people thinking of you as a holy roller or something like that. I know that's what you're running from, because I try to duck the terminology myself and the labels that people put on you. But man, don't trip on that. Don't trip on that. I'm telling you, man, go form yourself a relationship with God. It becomes so helpful to you. What would happen if you just gave God a chance? I mean, just think about it, man. If you made more room in your heart for God, what could possibly happen? I mean, look, you got so much that's going on in your life, so many challenges and barriers and things that you're up against, and so much indecision and confusion and wanting to know your next move. Well, why don't you try this, man? Why don't you sit down and just tell God that you really need it, that you really need some help, and you really need a companion, and you would love to have his advice and his counseling. You ain't got to go nowhere to do that, man. You could just do that today. But it would slow down some of this tripping. I'm telling you, man, God performs miracles all the time. God makes dreams come true. What would happen if you just gave him a chance? Open up your heart a little bit, man. Make God a greater presence in your life, man. He can do some miraculous things for him. All you got to do is ask. He don't ever walk away from people that's seeking him, okay? Talk to God. He'd love to hear from you. Y'all have a great weekend, okay? I know I will.